Women Speakers community. Thank you for joining us. And I'm really excited because today we're going to talk about productivity and getting organized. Who feels a little disorganized right now? 6 weeks into this lockdown. At least it's been 6 weeks for me. I'm not sure about you, but I have a special guest with me today that has become my friend, even though we don't see each other much, that we met years ago. And so I want to introduce you to Sherry Borsheim from the Vancouver area. Welcome, Sherry.
Hi, Lisa.
So good to have you here today.
I'm excited to see what we're going to be talking about today when it comes to organization and productivity. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, well, you know what? I was talking to my community this week all about habits. So what I've been doing in the last number of weeks since we've been in lockdown, I decided to go live every day of the week except for Saturday and Sunday. So every Monday to Friday to my community here to bring encouragement and help guide people in this time of pivoting, because I'm sure you've had to do a bit of pivoting.
Yes.
As most of us have, even if we have, a percentage of our business online, there's still a certain degree of pivoting that we've had to do. So just helping people to navigate through that and find ways that we can pivot with purpose. That's my new hashtag, pivot with purpose. So I was talking about habits and productivity, and you came to mind. Like you're the one. You're the one when we talk about this whole area, because this is what you live and breathe.
It is 20 years.
And so you have a lot that my community can learn from. So I wanted to have you on just to open the conversation. But before we get into any kind of tips and things, I wanted to know from you and to share with the community a little bit about you in terms of how you actually got into this whole area and what it is you actually do.
Well, it's interesting because it was a time, we're going through some very challenging times and different times. And in 2000, I had a major pivot, a major transition in my own life where it didn't happen overnight. I had the dream job and my dream, I've been there for over 13 years and I loved what I did. My background is construction and real estate development. So designing and construction, I understand all that. My father was an entrepreneur and had his own construction business as well. And so my dream job was no longer my dream job. Some things had changed, and it took me about 3 to 4 years to transition, but I left a very secure job and I loved who I worked for. And I went and I said, I just want a job that's easy, that's no stress. And I got that job and it actually paid more than what I was making. But I used that time to sort of decide what I wanted to do. And I was jogging on the dike with my girlfriend and I just blurted out and I said, I just want to organize people's closets. And then I'm like, oh, nobody's going to hire me. And then I shared it with one other really close friend. And 2 weeks later, and this is how I know this was my purpose and this is where God was leading me in my life, was because she didn't have a TV and she had heard about an organization and this woman who wrote a book, and I'll just mention it was Julie Morgenstern, and she was on Oprah, and she had heard through a friend and she said to me, you have to buy this book. And that was the start of my organizing journey. I went and got the book and I thought, this is how she thinks, this is how I think. Oh my goodness, I could have written this book. And I had this new job and I'd given myself 3 years and I got laid off after a year and a half. And that was my ticket.
Wow.
And I have to say, I just took 3 months, did nothing, everything I wanted to do. And then I hired a business coach and I started my business in 2001. And I haven't looked back, and it's constantly changing. And now I'm transitioning more online. I've been in this world for many years, but now more than ever. And as you know, organization is very demanding on your body. For me and my back and everything. So I am transitioning more online with regards to organization and productivity. And I can help anybody organize anything, whether it's on their computer or their shoes in their closet.
Yes.
Doesn't matter. I can organize it remotely. And it's kind of crazy that I can do that. But
It is so cool. It is so cool. I remember you and I met.
E-Women?
Yeah, no, I think it was with in the States with Sherry.
Oh, yes.
But I'm just trying to remember the date. I don't remember the date. It was probably, I don't know, 2009, I'm thinking.
Yes.
Somewhere around there. So it's been a long time. We're in the same mastermind group.
That's right.
Business coach in the States. And that's where we first met. And we just kept connected. Of course, being of the same faith and everything helps. So,
and in Canada,
yes, among the many that were from different places. But I have taken, and it is one of your courses online, and I refer back to it periodically because I have access to it for the digital organization.
Yes,
love it. And for my file system, because I am not a naturally organized person. It's not part of my personality, although I need it. And I find that I can't function well without it. Isn't that interesting?
It is.
Like I function fine, but then I get to points like, hey, I just need to get really organized here because I just it just drains my energy and all that kind of stuff if I'm not. So you want to speak to that?
I was just is your business, you're mostly online, but do you still have paper?
Yes, and I'm trying to get rid of my paper.
I'm not 100% paperless either. Yeah. But I have to say every 6 months, another 2 bags of paper go out of my office. Yes. And I have other than my husband, he's the only person, the only business, only entrepreneur that I've worked with that's 100% paperless.
What?
Oh yeah, it's rare. I still deal with a lot of paper.
Wow. What's his work?
Well, he's in the tech industry. We're in similar businesses because I do a lot of digital organization and file structures on reorganizing people's computers.
Yes.
And he does that, but he does that at a whole nother corporate level. And we both do workflow. So we're in similar, and records management and creating, SOPs. Operating procedures, and also just creating best practices in businesses.
Nice.
But he does it at a whole nother level using, it's at a corporate big level.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that's kind of neat to complement and just have a similar, but yet to learn from each other. So let's talk a bit about what you do right now for your clients. What are some of the things that you do for your clients? Give us a little snippet into your world.
I work with a lot of women entrepreneurs who have big business. They could be in the retail industry or family-run businesses, but they don't have an office that they go to. They may have like retail locations or storefronts, or maybe they don't have a storefront. They own property management. But what happens is all of the paper flow comes through the house.
Right.
And so they don't go to an office during the day. So I work with a lot of women who work in their homes, and they don't have like online businesses. They're more brick and mortar type. And I organize everything literally from their purse to their wallet to their garage, like every room in their entire house. But I also maintain the paper flow. And then when tax time comes, tax time's a breeze. It's not stressful.
Yeah.
And so I've organized everything in these. I've had clients for over 15 years. And so once I'm in there, I can come in and I don't even need to see my client, because you can say in some ways I'm a glorified assistant in some ways, but I'm organizing, I'm doing the things that they don't want to do because they don't need to hire a full-time assistant. And I also train the house staff, or if they do have an assistant, I'll train them based on the systems that I set up and what my client has. So organizing passwords and getting that all organized. So I do a lot of that. I'm in people's homes. And during this time, I am doing a little bit of work because there's construction still going on, and I have a client who's renovating a house, and I'm part of that, working with the design team and the contractor.
Yeah.
And I'm also, they move the boxes in, and every couple of days I go for 3 or 4 hours, and we're getting it unpacked. And actually, it's a dream move. So I'm doing a little bit of work like that because we can keep our distances.
Sure.
And keep that protocol in place.
Wow. Yes. I love your Instagram photos. Just take stops of it, like, because I love those. I love organization, but it's not something that I feel as passionate about as you in terms of my calling. That's why it's so good to have people like you in that industry that we can call upon. So I have some questions for you. In this season, as you know, with the whole world under upheaval and pivoting, families have had to reorganize their whole life and work in the same space. So I'm sure that you've had some of these situations that you've had to deal with, some of your clients. What are some of the common things that people are struggling with right now in the area of productivity, maybe some of the things that are getting in their way, and what are some tips that you can offer to help women? I'm looking, our audience is women, so women entrepreneurs might be homeschooling, might have little kids, might have to now shifted their work home.
Yes. Yeah, what I'm finding is they're having to they run their businesses, they're at home, and I have clients anywhere from 2 to 5 kids. And so, and when they're younger, they're having to be with their kids, their children, till probably, around 12:30. So the entire morning is school hours, and they're not able to do their work. And so they're juggling cooking 3 meals a day. Like there's some takeout, but so they're juggling a whole lot more, and it's stressful for them. And we're 6 weeks into this now. People are slowly trying to get in a groove that kind of works, and that's why I've only been working in the afternoon when I do go on site, because they're just busy in the morning, and so it's a lot to juggle. And so one of the things that I helped my clients, and tips that you've probably already done, is to look at your meal planning. That was one thing, and I'm sure a lot of people already got that all ironed out, but if you don't, there's some templates that I have that I would be happy to share with you, just to sort of simplify that. But have themes. And when you look at your week, I like to have like batch tasks. So if your morning, like say from, you've got your breakfast hour, and then, you're not able to work out in the morning, and then you've got your school, and say that's done around 12:30, and then you got to feed the kids, and then you get to your work in the afternoon. Somewhere in there, you've got to schedule taking care of yourself, because if you burn out, then because it's really intense right now.
It's good.
So scheduling in a walk. And one of the things, my husband, he works from home quite a bit, but every day around 2 to 3, he makes sure that he goes for a walk. If I'm here, I'll go with him. If I'm not, I try to do my workout, my stretching and exercising in the morning, but I can't stress exercise and drinking water are really critical. I kind of went on I'm going to eat cookies and ice cream, and I'm all off that this week. I just, I put on the quarantine 10
I think most
but I
people
wasn't
said that.
feeling good. Like, yeah, my energy wasn't there. And so, even for me, you I had to sort of jig and look at my schedule. So tips I can give you is this is a temporary, it will be over. But we all have changes in our life. Like even if, my clients are moving, that's a transition.
Yeah.
And so I look at life as whatever stage you are in the transition, you need to adjust your ideal work week accordingly.
That's
And
good.
so it looks differently. You may be working 3 hours in the afternoon, and then after the kids, you fed them and everything, you work another 2 or 3 hours in the evening. And just remind yourself that this is not forever. This is definitely temporary. So batching is the most critical thing. This is the biggest time saver. And so, you know what batching is, Lisa?
Yeah, I totally learned that from you years ago, and it has changed my productivity level big time.
So how do you use it?
So I do it where I do it in chunks of time, where I have certain tasks that I do, and I also use the is it called the Pomodoro method?
Yes.
So I have a timer. Actually, I have an actual little timer here that I use.
Oh, it's pink. I love it.
And I set it for 50 minutes.
Yes.
And at the end of 50 minutes, whatever I'm doing, if I'm not on a call like this, then I'll get up and take a break. And take a 5 or 10 minute break, and then I'll come back another 50 minutes. And so I find that it just helps me be more productive. And the fact that I'm taking those regular breaks, even movement, especially now having to be home more, that it just increases my energy level, my thinking process, everything like that. So that's what I find. It helps me to stay focused and follow through on the tasks that I need to, instead of getting distracted, going on social media, or, that whole rabbit thing, that whole thing that can happen when you go on just to check one thing on social media. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my goodness, it's like an hour has passed.
Yes.
So that's been a time saver for me, helps me.
Yeah. And you've got that handle, because statistics will tell you that multitasking decreases your productivity. And even kids, if you notice their attention span, like when I'm organizing and working with kids, I can't say give me an hour. No. I say I need 15 minutes or 30 minutes of your time, and I take my phone and I set it for 15 or 30 minutes, and it's kind of like beat the clock. Right? Because the timer's ticking down. And that's why the Pomodoro technique works, the batching, and, taking a break every 50 minutes. There are statistics on that and research that backs that up, that it does. You need to give a break. Because I used to be the person who's like, I'm all or nothing. That's sort of my tendency. And it's like, oh, I'll just work for 3, 4, 5 hours. Even for kids, for studying, they need a break.
Yeah.
And so batching, setting a timer, taking a break every 15 minutes, drinking some water, stretching, doing whatever you need to do. Those are all critical things to do. And they're really great habits to just keep doing forever. Like they really are. They're beneficial.
That's the thing. And that's the thing that I'm really emphasizing during this time as well, is it, like you said at the beginning, sometimes in this season, things show up that maybe we weren't really aware of before, in terms of bad habits get highlighted. They just get magnified under pressure. And so it's an opportunity for us to say, okay, is this going to serve me well going forward? So what can I use this time to actually begin to learn new habits, or replace them with more habits that are going to serve me in going forward as well?
Exactly. I can tell you one new habit that I have a bit of scoliosis in my back. And so I'm at the chiropractor every 2 weeks. And I had 2 accidents last year. And I have to say, I was at a breaking point at week 4. And I thought, how am I going to get through this? And I realized I had to change my mindset because I was focusing too much on it. And that's what really forced me, okay, we know what we need to do when it comes to productivity and exercise and eating healthy, but do we actually, create those habits to do it? And so I could be another 3-4 weeks before I see massage and chiropractor, and it's been acting up again, and it just forces me, get up, get out of bed, roll it out, do all my stretches. I touch base with my trainer, and so that's and I have to do it twice a day, and then all of a sudden I'm not really a relax in the tub kind of person. But it's forcing me to create some new habits that and I think that I believe that I can work through this, and then I won't be so reliant on going to the chiropractor every 2 weeks. Not that I want to, that my rib pops out all the time, and because the muscles are so tight. And so I'm using this time to, as you said, it's bringing to light, we can't go get our hair cut, so I had to get rid of the sparkle, as my girlfriend calls it, and do some of these things. So exercise and stretching is a new habit, and cutting out the sugar, drinking way more water than I'm used to, are all things that are going to impact how you like your energy levels during the day, how productive, how focused you can be. When you may only have, a couple of hours of focus time. So,
I'm just going to check here to see if we have any questions. Hi, Fanny. I'm just going to refresh my thing here because I can't see the comments unless I'm looking online here. So please do, if you're listening to the replay as well, be sure and post any questions or comments down below. And if I can redirect them to Sherry, tag her in it if I can't answer the question. But for sure, this is an opportunity for you. If you have a question in the area of productivity or getting organized, how you can maybe tweak something that you're already doing, and how you know that there's an area that you need tweaking. Is it because it's a frustration or it's a reoccurring frustration that happens? And say, okay, what needs to change here in order for us to be able to not have this happen all the time? So it could be a very simple little tweak that Can you give any examples of something like that where I know I'm really throwing things on the spot for you in terms of when there's things happening, reoccurring patterns of frustration, what do you find is, well, we can talk about this from a, in terms of business or personal life, it doesn't really matter. What is the key?
Well, when something's not working, so I'll give you an example. I was preparing my taxes the other day, and for many years that was a frustration for me. I was new in business way back when. It took me, and I just called my accountant and I said, okay, tell me what documents you need me to give you every year. I create a simple little checklist, and I'd be happy to share this with you. It's so simple. And this is what I do for all of my clients, because tax time is very stressful, and it was stressful for me. It was very frustrating and time consuming. And then I was procrastinating for weeks on end. And now I just have a simple little checklist, and I can go into your business, Lisa, if I had a simple checklist, and I literally can just go down the list, and I can just go find those pieces of paper. But here's the time saver. All you need is just get a file folder or hanging file and just call it taxes in the current year. So taxes 20, we're in 2020 right now.
Right.
And then as you get donation receipt, anything that and I'm not talking like your day-to-day receipt.
Right.
Your business, but there's these odd pieces of paper, just throw them in that one file. At the end of the year, all I have to do is open up this file, look at my checklist, I go down the list, and it's done. Like I can do my taxes in like 45 minutes. And yeah, and a couple of years ago, because we're going a lot, more paperless and more
Yes.
digital,
Yes.
I took the time, and it took me hours to do it, but I figured out a way to click on all of the sites I created on my bookmark bar. I call it financial. And then under financial, I have a folder that says paid bills to print monthly and yearly. And I go to all the sites, like all the online tools that I use,
wow.
my utilities, and I use LastPass.
Yes.
If you're going to use a password protection program, I recommend LastPass or 1Password. Those are the only two. And the reason being is they work on all of your devices.
Mm-hmm. I love LastPass.
Yeah.
So much time.
I just go click, click, and now I have a folder structure where it says taxes, and then I have subfolders for each year. So 2017, 2018, 2019, you get the idea, 2020.
Yes.
And then I just have another layer of subfolders inside of there, and that is my visual checklist. Oh, bank statements, credit card statements. And then I just go to my bookmark bar and I just save them all into their appropriate files.
Wow.
A little bit of time to set it all up, because that was a big frustration. And I was procrastinating. Like,
yes. So you procrastinate too sometimes?
I do. All things I don't like to do. And desk work I don't like doing desk work. Like
interesting. That. Okay. So we have a question here for you from Linda. She said, when there is so much to be done, how do you prioritize, especially when they're all important?
Hi, Linda. Good question. Thank you for asking. You need to look at your list. Not everything is urgent, and not everything is important and needs to be done right now. So look at your list and ask yourself, is there anything on that list that, quite frankly, you can just cross off the list? And if you can take a piece of paper, fold it in half, and write your list down on one side. So write it on one side, and then on the other side, or you can just draw an arrow, all the things that you're not committed to doing this week. Don't think about this month. You're not committed to doing today or this week, and just draw an arrow and put it on the other side. And I guarantee that you will have maybe 3-4 things that absolutely must be done today, because today is the only thing that we need to worry about.
Right.
Not that we need to worry about anything, but today is today. So what is the one thing? And here's the other little secret about to-do lists. There's a snowball effect. If you do one task, it could be a snowball effect, a trickle effect, and it takes care of a few other tasks. So when you're looking at your task list and you're prioritizing, first it needs to be written down as one task. So prepare budget is 50 tasks.
That's true.
Right?
Yes.
So if you had clear out, organize garage.
Yeah.
Well, that could be a 2-day project.
Right.
So what I like to do is I like to chunk things down and only write on your list items that require one action. And then what you can do is, beside that task, write down how long you think it's going to take. So whatever the tasks are, you could just look at your task list, and you could just say, I think this is going to take 5 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, a day, whatever it is. And then you can also prioritize based on the time frame that it's going to take to complete that one task, and the time that you have today to actually do the tasks. So chunking your to-do list down, getting realistic on what tasks actually need to be done today. I have I have lots of projects. I got hundreds of tasks that need to be done.
Yeah.
Launching a podcast isn't going to happen in one day.
Yes.
Right?
It's
It
true.
takes
So let me just
Yeah.
go there. We're going to go to another question here too, but just piggyback on what you just said there, because you said two things. You said one is today, focus on today, what needs to get done today. And then the question is, well, what about the things that need to happen? Like I want to eventually do. So can you speak to that?
Yeah. So let's just say, let's be realistic. Let's say you have 2 hours of focused, gotta get stuff done today. That's it. You have 2 hours.
Yeah.
So look at your first 50 minutes. What is the most important thing that you can do today that's going to make the biggest impact? That's the task you want to do. Then do the second task. Now, if you're working on a project, again, look at your project list or your task list, and what is the one task that's going to be the needle mover, that's going to move that project forward in a big way? Those are the tasks you want to do. Sometimes we make a lot of tasks, and we don't really need to do them. So do a big brain dump. This is what I recommend everyone do. Do a big brain dump. That will relieve a level of stress. It's like 100-pound weight comes off your shoulders. So this is a lot of the time. And then breathe. So do a brain dump, and then look at your list and just pull out the needle movers. And if there's certain business, personal, just pull out a few things that you want to focus on this week and today. Don't focus on the next 2 weeks or the next month. Just focus on this week.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's too overwhelming.
Yeah, that's so good. Because it's all a matter of, well, it's priorities, right? Just really putting the priority rather than, I'm just going to read another one here from Jane. She said, I have so many interests and have an ongoing battle to keep my focus. And I know, I'm saying it like that because she's emphasizing, I know what I've been called to do for this time, and yet find myself adding things in. It feels like a constant purging or swatting away the temptations to try and do it all. So I'm not sure if what Sherry has just shared has already spoken to that, or if there's something you want to add. But I think it's a common with creativity as well. When we're creative people or God-centered people, there's a lot of different interests we can tap into, and we can get overwhelmed because we feel like we don't have time to do it all. And we don't.
And that's where the weekly schedule, that's another tool that I'll send with you. Getting clear on what your weekly schedule is. And, there's seasons for hobbies and interests. So if you're like, I'm feeling the need to garden, like plants and gardening, and it's springtime. So I'm focusing, that's a personal thing. It's and being outside in nature, that's something I'm focusing on, and I will probably focus on that this month and next month. The other interest I have is simplifying meal prep and meal planning and healthy meals, and learning how to use my Instapot. But any more than that, right? I have tons of interests. So what you can do is you can just take a piece of paper, once again, or you can use a whiteboard, whatever it is. Just get out. I have these pens. I love color. So this is how you can be creative. Get out your colored pens, whatever. Drive 12 boxes, and personal. Write out 12 things that you want to, it doesn't matter if they're interests, habits, things that you want to develop, books you want to read, just one thing personal in each month. So the 12 boxes are each month. So right now, what is that one interest or one hobby or one sort of personal thing you want to focus on? And you are going to do everything you can to be the best at that this month.
That's so
And
good.
so then you just schedule 15 or 30 minutes several times during the week to just focus on that one interest. And then next month, it could be another interest. Maybe it's a book you want to read. Maybe you want to paint. And that's how you can chunk down your interest, because basically we're just distracting ourselves, and there's a lot of distraction right now online.
Yes.
And I can go down that rabbit hole too.
Yeah. So I'm just going to share another one from Joe. She said that I find that I'm somewhat of an attention deficit when working around the house. For example,
Yes.
You start cleaning the bathroom, and the next thing you know, you're folding clothes, and then dusting the room, all because you took the towels down to the laundry room. And you start to kind of go from one thing to the other.
Yep.
I do get it done through the day, but usually chuckle at the detours that I tend to make throughout my day. So I will just say, if you get it done, great.
I call that, it's not technically organizing, but I call it yo-yo organizing. So my biggest challenge when I'm working with my clients is they will be in their office or a room, and they'll go, oh, this belongs downstairs. Yes. And so then they go and then they go downstairs like, oh, it's like a mess down there, or the laundry pile or the shoes or whatever is a mess. And then they get distracted by that. My biggest challenge is keeping my clients in the one room. And that's why having your ideal work schedule, which I'm going to send you a link for that, and sort of planning out, okay, this is sort of when I'm going to do lunch. Now, I'm not saying that you have to plan out every minute of your day. Yeah. That's not what this is about. But when you have your week planned out and you scheduled blocks of time to do certain things, Mondays could be a theme. Like for me, laundry is Thursdays or Saturdays, right? And meal prep is on Sundays. So I got to get my groceries on Saturday or Sunday. And there's flexibility in there. And so if you're juggling trying to get all the house stuff done, and then you need to be creating podcasts or writing an email for your newsletter, maybe Monday mornings, let's get really productive, so you can have themes and chunks of time where you can plan this out. And so then you're not constantly, and here's the other thing, ask for help. Yeah, exactly. You have to do it all.
That's so good. That's really helped me a lot in terms of the theming, and I've started to do that in my business over the last few years, where themes for my weeks, even when I'm creating content, or especially when we're doing things on social media, posting, the marketing aspect of things, it really helps to be clear for me, to really keep the clarity as to, okay, what's my focus this week? What's the theme this week? Exactly. And then day by day, okay, this day is speaking tips. This is the day, speaking tip Tuesday, and this day is Fridays I do interviews. So it really helped me a lot to streamline. And the other part of that too is, and this is, I don't know if this is something that you hear a lot, but I'm a very visual person. So for me to transfer my calendar and everything onto a digital, I struggle with that sometimes, because it's not in my face all the time.
Yes.
And it's not in front of me all the time. So sometimes I still print out my schedule, or I have a one that I write, like a whiteboard one, that I have it on my wall, because I need the reminder. Otherwise.
Me too. So there's a trend, just so you know, if you've noticed, I've noticed a trend in the last 3 to 5 years to more paper planners. Michael Hyatt has planners.
Yes.
Yep. Brendan Bouchard has planners. Shalene Johnson has a planner. Dean Graciosi has a planner. Tony Robbins has a planner.
So Sherry, you should have a planner.
I've thought about it. So there's
productivity tips sprinkle for. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I still have my digital account. I can't live without this, because I need to, when I'm out and about, I need to have I I run my business pretty much. I can access like Google Docs and everything. I can pretty much run my business 80% of it off this phone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's incredible when you think about it.
It is. It is amazing. I have one other question here. Another question from Fanny. So Fanny she works in the healthcare area. And she said, how do you plan and do themes when you do shift work, for example? And she also has little kids. So she's a mom and she has a work business. So your hours and days off are very inconsistent. Any suggestions?
Again, it all comes down to planning out your work week. You just have different hours. And so that's why it's really important to sit down and plan out your ideal work week, creating chunks of time of when you're going to exercise, meal prep, delegate. Delegation's huge. We don't, as women, don't need to do it all. We may be doing a little bit more right now because, some people have people come in and clean their house and gardening, and gardening can be done by outside companies still, but again, it just comes down to you just have a different work schedule. And so it's like, I don't like to work on weekends, but if I work on a weekend, guess what goes out the door? Like, I'm always looking at, if I say yes to this, what am I saying no to? That was a game changer for me.
That's really good.
And so if I say, because I get asked all the time, oh, can you work on Saturday? I'm like, no. Like, even during this time, I don't want to work on the weekends. Because I notice I have this sort of resentment because it's time with my husband or it's my time off. And I want to go for a walk and a bike ride, whatever, when this is all over, go see friends. But so look at what you're saying yes to, and also when you say yes to something, what are you saying no to? So that planning out your week, batching the tasks, doesn't matter what your work hours are. We all need to create that weekly, ideal weekly schedule. And when this is all over, you need to just tweak it.
That's so good. Yeah, that planning, even on like what I do is on a Sunday night, just go through my little book and say, okay, what priorities this week, and look at my schedule. I just wanted to say, I was reminded as we were talking about batching and everything, when my kids were really little, one of the things that I learned from, I can't remember the name of the author now. I read it years ago. It was a book on organization. And this idea stuck with me. And it was kind of like my first taste of the batching, where I would say, okay, when things were overwhelmed, my house needed cleaning, my kids were all over the place, all kinds of stuff, I would say, okay, I have 15 minutes. What can I do in 15 minutes? And I would just go for 15 minutes and clean. And when I was done, I was done. If I didn't get it all done, I was okay with that. But I would just do it in chunks of, and it just saved me so much frustration and energy drain. And part of it is being able to let go of something during this time as well, right? Especially if we're perfectionists, if we struggle with perfectionism.
It's exactly the word I was just thinking of, the perfectionism. And I'm an organizer and I want to look perfect and beautiful. But here's the thing. This is the number one question I get asked all the time. Your house must be so organized. Well, yes, my house is organized because I walk my talk.
Right.
But is my house perfectly organized 7 days a week?
Right.
All year round? No.
Right. And it doesn't.
And you know what? Yeah. And it doesn't need to be. And I'm even at the point now, because I can't. Stores are sold out and I can't get product that I need. And my clients are calling me and asking me, where do I get containers? They're packing up their offices. They're having to shut things down. And I'm like, well, here's my favorite bins. If you can't get those, it's like when you go to the grocery store, you almost kind of like, well, I had a plan to make all these meals, but I can only get these ingredients today.
Right.
And so, we don't have to have all of the pretty containers, buying these fancy gold. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like it really doesn't matter. And so I'm constantly letting go of perfection.
Yes.
It's held me back a lot over the years. And the one thing that kind of does annoy me is when I have my label maker, my clients, they label the bins on an angle. I said, I know which bins you labeled.
What do you
And they
mean?
will do it just to irritate me in a fun
Oh,
way.
I see. So it's not straight
Yeah,
on.
I know. And I'm like, no, it has to be straight. You know, there's just some things I have to do.
That's like construction coming
Organize,
too.
yeah. Organization is not about having perfectly organized houses
That's so good.
and no paper on your desk. And when I'm in creative mode, I got paper all over the place. But then I have a system to clean
That's
it
so
all
good.
up at the end of the day. So when I come to my office in the morning, and if I choose to leave the paper out because I want to continue the project, that's okay too.
That's
But
so good.
I have systems in place.
Yeah,
I'll show you this.
systems are. I did a post a while
I
ago
don't
on
know.
Instagram about messing. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at this.
So this I've had for years, and of course I've beautified. Here, I'll just show you. Beautified it and whatever. But you know, I have a system here for my daily priority planner. So I plan out my day every single day, and I can give you a copy of this. These are my action folders. What do I have? Oh, I do have some paper bills that come in, bills to pay. I know this is backwards. I have another one that's called Discuss Bookkeeper. And so she's coming in to do my GST on Monday. I won't be here, but she will be. So anything that I need to talk to my bookkeeper with, because she comes every quarter, it goes in there. I have stuff I need to discuss with my hubby. Items I want to buy. You know, I noticed these papers were floating around on my desk. I thought, oh, why don't I just create an action folder for that? Travel. We're not traveling right now, but when we are, this is where all my travel documents. And then waiting for, like, I use this one all the time. So this is my action box. And you can use whatever.
Yeah. Maybe a shoe box.
I still use this, and this is how I manage the paper flow on my office. So we our fridge broke down twice, the compressor, while this was all going on. We lost all our food. Yeah, fully stocked, lost everything.
Wow.
And so I'm waiting to be rebated. So I submitted, and I'm waiting for some money to come back. Well, that's what this is. Just sitting in here. And when I finally get that, that's what I do with those. And this is my personal and my business life.
That's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. I just wanted to make a comment here based on a comment that was made. Jane made this comment. Yes, she talked about how she's beginning to see that her values, the values really play into this, right?
Yes.
In terms of how the decisions you make, your personal values enter into this and what you value in life and what brings you life as well. Absolutely. I think that's a really key observation you just made there. Would you agree, Sherry?
Totally. You know, we're reassessing, you know, when this first, this quarantine sort of was all happening, and I was getting a couple of clients set up, their houses, they had just flown back and they were in quarantine for 14 days. And I was trying to get toilet paper, like basic necessities. Right. And it's a struggle to even get. We're reassessing. I said, this is a time where we're reassessing what really matters. What brings us joy? What do we really need? I don't want to sound morbid, but at the end of the day, you will not take any of this stuff with you. And so I think this is a time where people are really reevaluating how they want to spend their time, how they want to take care of their health, what's really important in their business. We have so much time, we have no excuse.
Yeah.
And yet there's still things that I'm not doing, and I can't say I don't have time, because I got all the time I need right now.
Yeah.
And so that comes down to, what are your values? What are your goals in the next 3 to 6 months? What do you want to focus on? and what's important to you and your family. And this is a big reevaluation time. I call it, it's a big reset.
It is. Yeah.
It really is, looking at what we value in our life. And I think we will all come, I think we're all changing. We're all in this probably 6 weeks now.
Yeah.
I think we will all come out with new amazing habits, a new appreciation for a lot of things that we just sort of took for granted for. I know I am.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's the reset and pivot, and just to really, really reflection on things. And what you said there, and it just speaks also to a comment Jane made, is the whole area of when we implement some of these systems that Sherry is talking about, it does, what it does is yes, it takes things from your brain that you are maybe mulling over, or you're trying to remember, you're trying to hang on to, and because that drains your energy when you keep that stored there.
Yes.
So just like she said, she has these little file things. What it does is it takes the energy and puts it into that file, so to speak. So it's like, I don't need to remember this now. I just need to know where to get it.
Yeah, well, so there's a level, so your to-do list, everything that is up here, that's why brain dump is so stress relieving, because every time, so we can only hold, there's different research out there. Some say you can hold 15 pieces of information at any given time. Some say it's as less as 7 because we're more distracted than ever. So let's just say we can, so every time something comes up as a concern for you, we can only hold approximately 7 chunks of information in our brain at any given time. So something new comes in and we drop something. Something new comes in and we drop something. And then all of a sudden you're laying in bed at night and you're like, oh, shoot, I forgot to call Lisa, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's why having an action file system, having a paper planner, having a calendar, like certain basic foundational systems in place to dump all this information that is up here, because that is a level of stress that we don't realize that creates anxiety and frustration, and it stops us from focusing even being present in the moment. And so that's why the brain dump and having a few systems in place, and you don't need to revamp. Here's the thing, I make tweaks.
That's good.
Like, a lot of my clients may not have this fancy action system, but I say, tell me here's the thing, what's working?
Right.
Don't change it.
Yeah.
Look at what's not working, what's causing you frustration. You said that right at the beginning of this. What is causing friction in your life? Just tweak it. Just give it a little tweak. You don't need to revamp, haul. You just give it a little tweak. And you will notice level of stress, and your shoulders won't be up like this anymore. It makes a huge difference. So just look for little tweaks.
That's so good. That's such a good word of advice right there. Well, we could stay on here for hours and hours, because you've got so much to share, and it's been a great opportunity to reconnect with you again. And also, I'm sure it sounds like you're giving lots of value here. People are getting lots of value. And where can I know you have a great resource that I want to get into their hands called the 7 Best Apps That Will Supercharge Your Productivity. So would you like me to send that out, or where can you? Yeah, would you like me to
send it out? Yeah, just go to that bit.ly best app guide.
I'll send you the link in my email, and then whatever resources that you wanted to pass along, I'll make sure I pass that along to them as well.
Perfect.
But check out Sherry. Like, she is a gold mine of this kind of stuff, and just tweaking and helping you to really go back to the values that you have and say, okay, how does my life reflect that? And if it doesn't, what needs to change? And also, like you just said, what's working, like really embrace what's working, and personality, like what's going to work for your personality as well. And what do you need to function at your best, and getting people to help if you need that. So any last minute encouragement or advice that you want to share with our audience here today?
I'd just say when it comes around to organization and productivity, give yourself a pat on the back for all the things that are working and that you're doing well, and don't be hard on yourself. And if you have you have an area of your business or your home that is just like totally chaotic, just look at it from the perspective of I'll just do 15 minutes today, 15 minutes tomorrow. And here's the secret. If I'm organizing an area or a shelf, here's how you create a dramatic visible result. I go top to bottom, left to right.
Oh, top to
bottom. It's how you clean houses too. Yeah, you can go, and if you can't get to the top, start with the bottom and then, work your way up. But I do one shelf at a time. And I go left to right or right to left. And I just make quick decisions. And so, if you just like, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, and then you got this like piles that are all around you,
okay.
Then you spend set your timer for 30 minutes, and then you spend the next 15, 20 minutes dealing with the piles that you sorted. You will feel so much better about that, and if you can just stay in that one little area, you are like a rock star.
That's so good. I have done that under your recommendation, and it's so true. It is so true. And if you need a friend to help you make the decisions, because sometimes we hang on to things that you just ask you the question, well, how many times have you used this last year or 7 years?
Exactly.
So, all right. Well, thank you for joining us today. And if you are listening to the replay, be sure and put your comments or questions down below. And if you are not already a part of my community where you receive updates, then make sure that you link up with me so that I can get you the link to go to Sherry's website and get her great tips. And believe me, they have changed my life. This LastPass, getting all your passwords in one place, huge time saver for me, for sure. Especially now that you can't put the same password in that you've used 7 times over.
Exactly.
Back. So it's, these little things can make a huge difference in your life. I want to encourage you to kind of take a look at that and take advantage of the free apps and hacks. By trying to get my words out here. Apps and hacks that Sherry has shared with you today, and feel free to contact her. She's got some great programs online that will just really help get you more organized as well. So thank you, everyone. Have a great day and enjoy your weekend.